stop. Don't stop. Don't.
What is this out?
Hello everyone, welcome to another guide video. My name is Alex and today we're going to be talking about Ezreal. Before I get into Ezreal and all of his things, I want to talk a little bit about these videos and the future of these videos and the format that I'll be changing to. To start off, I wanted to say that these videos are mainly for you guys who want to learn new champions. They're not going to have, I want to make a catalog of all these videos, and my current goal with these is to kind of just, well, make a bunch of them. And I want to have them all in a playlist or something where I can just, they're there and I can point you towards them. If you want to learn a new champion, if you want to learn something about the champion, if you want to learn something new, there's all sorts of stuff will be in there. That's all going to be separate and placed in one playlist for you to look at. I'm not going to make a separate channel because I don't want to. I can't really. Why would I make one right now when I'm just starting back up again here? For you guys who want to learn something new, these are the videos for you. They're not necessarily going to be for everyone because obviously you're going to be wanting to play certain champions. Everyone wants to play Ezreal. Like, my Ezreal videos blown up over the past few weeks. All the other guide videos are kind of like getting up there, kind of people who want to learn specific champions. But the other thing I want to talk about is the format of these videos. Are kind of changing up a little bit. Firstly and foremost, I'm putting time codes up over here on this side to show you all the different sections, the overview section, items, abilities, and mechanics. And I'll put the time codes in the description for you if you want to skip around and stuff like that. It's totally up to you. These videos aren't really meant for consumption, like for consumption's sake. They're there for actual reasons. If you want to, like, okay, I know how Zero works, but I just or I can't really use a Zero as an example because I've already made that video. But like, say for example, Ezreal. All right, I already know what his ability is doing when he does. I just want to learn the mechanics. Boom! You can click down in the description or just fast forward to the part that I indicate, and boom, there you go. You can just watch that part. So if you don't want to watch the whole video or you just want parts of it, you can jump around and stuff like that. That'll be there. Along with that, I'm adding items to these videos now, and not all items. We're just going to be covering the core items, the first two items you build, excluding boots, just because they're pretty much the same on all the not the same, but every champion builds the same first two items pretty much every game, with a little bit of variation here and there, and I might mention those variations if there is a need for it. But otherwise, we're just going to talk about the first two items, the core build, and then after that, that's more situational stuff, which I'm not going to go into in these videos. Yeah, also, really quick, super tangent, but I forgot to mention this. Please leave a comment. I'm really looking for comments specifically on these videos about feedback. Do you like the formats? This format? Do you like what the old videos did? What do you want me to add? I'm trying to keep them as objective as possible, so there's no like subjectivity in the videos at all. So like, oh, this is what the champion does, and these are the first two items it build. Boom, that's it. Not talking about laning or matchups and stuff like that are pretty situational and subjective. Really, I'm trying to keep it objective as possible. I need feedback from you guys. So yeah, leave a comment down below. I'll also repeat that at the end of the video. But yeah, Ezreal. So what does Ezreal do? What is it? What he's all about? He is a bot lane ADC marksman spellcaster. He is mainly spellcaster because of that's it. He's a spellcasting ADC. Most of his damage comes from his abilities, not his auto attacks. Although he does get some stuff from using abilities that boost his auto attack damage, but otherwise, all of the damage, 85.5% of his damage comes from using spells. So learning how to use skill shots or practicing skill shots and learning how to lead targets and stuff like that is super important if you want to learn how to play Ezreal effectively. The other thing about him is that he is not the strongest early game champion in the world. He definitely is on the weaker side early game. That's due to mainly him buying into items that are, one, expensive, and two, don't really give him combat stats in the first, like when you buy them initially. Speaking about items, when I talk about expensive items, Ezreal buys into the Sheen items. Not Lich Bane, unless you're playing mid, I guess you could do some shenanigans with that, but mainly you're buying Triforce or Iceborne Gauntlet. Either one of those is perfectly fine for you. And you'll also be buying Manamune. It's a specific item which builds from Tear of the Goddess, which is why I said that he's not super early game strong, because if you buy Tear super early, which you kind of want to because you want to stack it, you're not getting combat stats. So that mid game area is where Ezreal will shine pretty much, because all those items will start to come together. So those are the two items you would be building, Manamune and Triforce or Iceborne Gauntlet. Now his skills. His passive is Rising Spell Force. Whenever you hit with an ability, you gain a 10% increase in attack speed, and that stacks up to 5 times, giving you like a total of 50% total attack speed. So once again, really playing into the whole landing your skill shots is super important. Just plain and simple. I'm gonna keep saying that multiple times until you freaking get it in your head, god damn it. His first skill, Q, is Mystic Shot. Shoots a projectile that does damage, but the special thing about it is it applies on-hit effects, so that builds into Sheen, the Sheen proc, or when Manamune flips over to Muramana, the Muramana proc. All those get applied when you hit with your Q. The other thing about his Q is that it reduces all of the CDs of all of your abilities, including itself and your ultimate. So it kind of it plays into really important to land your Q. Like, plain and simple, learning how to land your Q consistently is important to playing Ezreal. His W is Essence Flux. You shoot a little ring, and it latches on to either a champion, epic monster, or even epic monster, epic monster, or turret. And when you hit with on champions and epic monsters, if you hit with an ability or an auto attack, it'll proc and they'll detonate and deal damage. On turrets, you just have to auto attack, and that gives you some extra turret taking power, I guess. Landing it is also important. It's kind of your main combos, like you WQ, use like a bunch of damage. You watch Ezreal, he's like, oh my god, why is she dealing a bunch of damage? Well, it's because he's landing all his abilities. I'm still gonna say it every single time, land your freaking abilities. His E is Arcane Shift. It is your teleport ability. It gives you all your mobility and movement. Allows you to reposition and stuff. What happens is when you teleport, it does shoot out a homing projectile that prioritizes the closest enemy. However, if you want to hit something in specific, you can land your W on something and it will prioritize whatever is attached by your W. So landing it's another way to kind of do some poke damage in lane if you want. His ultimate is True Shot Barrage. It's just a big projectile. It's nice and wide, goes through everything and does damage to everything it goes through. Something kind of useful about it, aside from just like sniping people, is that it gives sight. So if you're trying to scout out Dragon or Baron or look for something, like specifically those two, you don't just want to willy-nilly use it just in a random direction. But it does give you sight, so it's something useful for it to do. Now for his interesting mechanic that I wanted to talk about, the real couple things. So there's two things they have to do with Ezreal that are kind of neat. The first is that you, as Ezreal, counter pulling champions, or really anything that kind of like, Ezreal is decently good at avoiding like stuns and stuff if you time it properly. So if say you're fighting like Blitzcrank or Pike or Thresh or Nautilus or something like that, they're like pulling abilities. Their main ability is like pulling you in a direction. If you time your Arcane Shift at the same time that you're getting hit by the pull, you won't get pulled. Plain and simple. You've probably seen it a bunch of times and people flaming each other about it or getting angry about it. How ridiculous it is. It has to do something with like, you're still like technically hit by the ability, so doesn't stop you from dying to it, but it won't get you pulled in that direction. You'll actually just Arcane Shift away. So something useful to think about if you're playing Ezreal. I wouldn't say like, oh, you see a Blitzcrank, you're like, I gotta play Ezreal. Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Just pick the champion you're really good at. But if you are playing Ezreal, happen to fight a Blitzcrank or something like that, then that's a little like bonus to playing that champion. So yeah. Now the really interesting mechanic that I wanted to talk about with Ezreal is that you can kind of auto-target with your abilities, and it's very specific, and you have to do exactly each step perfectly to get it off. But it does help you a lot with landing your abilities, or landing them consistently. Especially if you're within like close quarters, it definitely helps with that. Because sometimes in close quarters, even though you're like, okay, I want to hit someone, you may like veer off a little bit to the right, a little to the left or whatever. This allows you to kind of always land your ability, even though you're not aiming at them. So how do you do this? And don't ask, like, okay, so I don't really know exactly what is happening to cause this. I have a feeling I know, but I'm not gonna say one way or another. I'm gonna leave that up to you guys to discuss. Essentially, it has to do with using your Arcane Shift and then in conjunction using your other abilities. So if you, and I'll have like, obviously I'll have something up to show you what's happening. If you hover over Arcane Shift, you will see that there's a indicator, a circular indicator around Ezreal. That is the range of the teleport. Not the range of the projectile, mind you. It's the range of the teleport. The projectile has a slightly higher range of activation than the teleport itself. Now what you want to do is put your mouse inside, anywhere inside of that indicator. Cast Arcane Shift. At the same time, after you've teleported, don't move your mouse. Like, keep your mouse completely still. Take your hand off the mouse if you have to. Keeping it completely still is important because otherwise all that will happen is you'll just mystic shot in one random direction or wherever the mouse is moving. You want to keep your mouse extremely still and then cast whatever skill shot. You can cast your W, you can cast your mystic shot, you can even cast True Shot Barrage, you can cast your ultimate and it'll do the same thing. Obviously you'll be casting your Q because that's kind of your main damaging ability. And then when you do that, Ezreal just aim at whatever the Arcane Shift is hitting with its little homing missile, Ezreal will shoot at. That's plain and simple how it works. You have to, two things. One, I said you already, that you have to keep your mouse completely still. And the other thing is you must use Arcane Shift within the circle. I believe that has something to do with the fact that the mouse has to be directly on top of Ezreal. And the fact that probably the way that Ezreal works is that it teleports onto the mouse and the mouse is like in the direction, like in front of him. I don't know. Again, I'm not really sure how it works. It's not like some sort of weird coding thing they put on Ezreal. I think it's just how it ended up that way. Someone can correct me on that. I might be wrong totally, but anyway, that's how you do that kind of mechanic. It's helpful. I've been practicing it a bunch because it is actually pretty useful if you're like chasing someone, or if you want to do a lot of like arcane shifting around, making sure you avoid damage stuff, like positioning yourself, and it allows you to just hit your ability once in a while, pretty much 100% accuracy. So that's kind of, yeah, practice that. And yeah, that's all of Ezreal. That's everything, all of his abilities, his items, and his mechanics that have to go along with it. Hopefully that was thorough enough and detailed enough that I gave you some insight on how to play Ezreal. I will leave at the end of this video with I will be making videos later on about playing the champion in general, not the champion itself. I think that's more of again, that's more subjective than objective, and I want to keep these particular videos objective. So yeah, that's kind of my goal. And yeah, tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, do you like this format? Do you like the time codes? Is there enough detail in the guide? Is there enough information in the guide? That's another thing. Tell me if this actually helps you. I want to know, because then I can change them or not use them. Like, if they aren't helpful, tell me. Be constructive about the criticism, but you can just say, hey, I don't know if these videos are super useful because blah, 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 blah. Like, give me some reasons. Or, oh, these are really helpful because they have exactly all the detail I need to learn the champion. Tell me those things. Like, those are the things I'm looking for, not okay, like, useless comments are useless and I will not respond to them. I respond to every comment except useless ones. Ones that don't have any thought behind them, I will not respond to. I'll just plain and simple tell you that right now. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to watch more, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. Like I said, hit the bell button because apparently it tells you it tells you when I put up a video. I don't hit the bell button myself very often because I think it sends you emails sometimes. I'm not really sure. But it does stuff, and if you don't want that, I mean, you don't have to do it, but yeah, do it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.